Right now, in 2026, as Arctic ice melts and new shipping routes open, Canada's sovereignty hangs not on warships or patrols, but on a quiet submission to a UN commission, a review of seabed data that could redraw the map of the North. A scientist clicks through sonar scans. This is a battle fought with maps and science. The Northwest Passage threads through Canada's Arctic archipelago. Canada claims these waters are internal, like a lake inside its borders, meaning Canada controls who passes. The US and EU see it as an international strait, a global shortcut. That disagreement simmers, unresolved, as the ice retreats. Under the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, every coastal nation gets a 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone. Think of it as a backyard fence for fishing and drilling rights. But if your continental shelf extends further, you can claim beyond that fence. Canada wants that extra slice. Here's the rush. The Arctic seabed may hold 14 to 20 billion barrels of oil and up to 2.5 trillion cubic meters of gas. Canada, Russia, and Denmark, via Greenland, all claim overlapping territory on the Lomonosov Ridge, a submerged mountain range. Their claims are a tangle of colored blobs on a map. In 2022, Canada and Denmark did something remarkable. They split Hans Island, a tiny, barren rock in the Arctic. They drew a straight line down the middle, creating the world's first land border, defined by a continental shelf boundary. It's a diplomatic blueprint, proof that disputes can be resolved. But early explorers had a different approach. In grainy black and white images, they'd plant a flag on ice, a physical claim, a symbol of ownership. That was the old way. Occupy a spot, declare it yours. But the ice moves, and so does sovereignty. Flags don't anchor legal claims. For decades, Canada used the sector principle, imagining pie-slice lines from its mainland to the North Pole. But that's not international law. Under UNCLOS, claims are built on science, not geometry. Those old sector lines faded as Canada shifted to mapping the seabed, data point by data point.
At 71 years old, Titus Alulu of Pond Inlet, or Mitimatalik, has been a part-time ranger for close to half a century.
Our job is to be in our area, to observe and to listen and to see.
In 1982, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea was signed, rewriting the rules of ocean ownership. For decades, countries had drawn arbitrary lines on maps, Canada's sector lines reaching to the North Pole. But UNCLOS introduced a new principle. Your rights depend on the shape of the seafloor. It would take Canada over 20 years to ratify, but when it did, the old flag-planting era ended for good. Fast forward to 2027, a deadline looms. Under UNCLOS, nations have 10 years from ratification to file claims for extended continental shelf. Canada's clock is ticking. In a cold Ottawa lab, a geologist peers through a microscope at a core sample pulled from the Arctic seabed. Each layer of sediment is a clue, a story of ancient mountains and shifting plates that could prove Canada's shelf stretches far beyond 200 nautical miles. Why all this fuss over rocks under the water? Because the Arctic seabed is a treasure chest. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, it may hold 14 to 20 billion barrels of oil and up to 2.5 trillion cubic meters of natural gas. That's roughly a quarter of the world's undiscovered reserves. For Canada, securing these resources means jobs, energy independence, and a seat at the global table. But Canada isn't alone in this quest. On the Lomonosov Ridge, an underwater mountain range that snakes across the Arctic Ocean, three claims collide. Canada's submission covers about 1.2 million square kilometers. Russia's overlaps with a similar area. Denmark, via Greenland, claims another 895,000 square kilometers. These colored polygons on the map represent a silent scramble for the last great territorial prize on Earth. Yet while the legal battle simmers, Canada is also showing the flag in a more traditional way. In 2024, the Hmcs Harry Dewolf, the first of 6 new Arctic and offshore patrol ships, began patrolling the Northwest Passage. It's a steel-gray presence, a reminder that sovereignty still has a physical dimension. But these patrols are less about confrontation and more about showing up. proving Canada can operate in its own backyard. Still, there's a catch. The Harry Dewolf is an Arctic patrol ship, not a heavy icebreaker. It can handle thin ice, but polar class? Not quite. Compare it to a true icebreaker, like the U.S. Coast Guard's Polar Star, which can smash through ice up to 6 meters thick. Canada's aging heavy icebreakers are overdue for replacement. It's a gap that critics say undermines Canada's ability to enforce its claims.
My grandparents were moved from this beautiful place between 1918 and 1921. The ship came 4 in the morning, or they were out this way.
The real front line isn't on the surface. It's beneath the ice. A research vessel's sonar sends pulses into the dark water, mapping the seabed inch by inch. These sound waves reveal the shape of the continental shelf, its slopes, its ridges, its sediments. This isn't just science, it's evidence. Every data point is a legal argument. Canada's sovereignty in the Arctic is being written not with flags, but with sound waves and core samples. Imagine a map of the Arctic, crisscrossed with the tracks of a dozen research vessels. Each looping line represents months of work, collecting seismic data, drilling sediment cores, measuring seafloor depths. This isn't just science for science's sake. Every data point is a legal argument for where Canada's continental shelf ends and where its sovereignty begins. The clock is ticking. The Commission on the Limits of the Continental Shelf, the CLCS, has a backlog of submissions from nations around the world. Canada's 2019 updated claim sits in a stack that could take years to review. While the world waits, the ice keeps melting, and the value of what lies beneath keeps rising. Canada and Denmark, once locked in the so-called Whiskey War over Hans Island, now cooperate on the ice. In 2022, they resolved that dispute by splitting the island, creating a land border through the continental shelf. Since then, their scientists have worked side by side, collecting data to support overlapping claims on the Lomonosov Ridge. Here's the twist. The United States, the world's most powerful nation, isn't even a party to this process. It never ratified UNCLOS. So while Canada argues its case before the CLCS, the U.S. operates outside the legal framework. That leaves American ships transiting the Northwest Passage without permission, relying on a different interpretation of law. Meanwhile, the Arctic is transforming before our eyes. An animation shows sea ice extent shrinking year after year. From 1980, when it covered most of the ocean, to 2026, when vast stretches of open water appear. The retreating ice is both an environmental crisis and an economic opportunity, opening routes and resources once locked away.
That's a human flagpole.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
I don't know. I mean, it's a big feat to go from this pristine area that my grandfather knew what to look for.
Through one of those new channels, a Canadian Arctic and offshore patrol ship, the HMCS Harry Dewolf, navigates a narrow strait. A sign on the shore reads, International Waters, but to Canada, this is internal waters, as much part of the country as the St. Lawrence River. The ship's presence is a quiet assertion of sovereignty. That patrol made headlines. Canadian Navy ship transits Northwest Passage without U.S. request. Photographs show the vessel cutting through dark water, ice chunks floating past. It's a reminder that sovereignty isn't just about maps and data. It's also about showing up. But the real battle remains beneath the waves, in the science that will decide the future. So here we are in 2026, watching a quiet revolution unfold. Scientists aboard icebreakers take core samples from the seabed, mapping features hundreds of miles beneath the surface. Patrol ships like the HMCS Harry Dewolf show the flag along the Northwest Passage. All of this feeds into one single goal: to prove that Canada's continental shelf extends beyond 200 nautical miles. And the final map of that claim, covering 1.2 million square kilometers, represents the culmination of a century of effort. To grasp the scale, think of it this way. That claimed area is roughly the size of Ontario, Canada's second largest province. But where Ontario is home to millions of people and sprawling cities, this territory is a frozen, underwater wilderness. It's a region where the stakes are measured in trillions of cubic meters of natural gas and billions of barrels of oil. And it's a region where Canada's sovereignty will be decided not by soldiers, but by scientists and diplomats. Thanks for watching this deep dive into Canada's Arctic sovereignty in 2026. If you want to understand the geopolitics shaping our world, subscribe for more. New videos every week. See you in the next one.